A lot of people would say that ghosts don't exist, and every haunted place around the world could be explained by scientific phenomena like air pressure, toxic gases, and others. Yet, these locations have earned their reputation from sightings by multiple, unrelated witnesses, all of whom swear that they've seen or heard some spooky stuff going on in these locations. Here are top 10 most haunted places in Europe. With its 7 floors and 204 rooms, Chateau de Brissac is easily the tallest castle in France. Located just south of Angers in the Loire River Valley, it was initially built in the 11th century and later rebuilt in a Grand Renaissance style in the 15th century. Apart from its size and grandeur, the castle is also famous for being one of the most cursed places in Europe, allegedly due to the presence of a ghost called the Green Lady. According to the story, it's the spirit of an illegitimate daughter of King Charles VII, Charlotte de Brissac. She was murdered by her husband, Jacques de Brissac, in 1477 after he caught her red-handed with her lover. He soon fled the castle and left it abandoned, apparently due to the continued voices of the ghost. Today, the ghost of the Green Lady is said to frequent the tower room of the chapel, wearing her distinctive green dress. Described by visitors as a demonic figure with holes where her eyes and nose should be, it's usually accompanied by mournful moans heard throughout the castle in the early morning hours. While the current inhabitants of the house, the Duke of Brissac and his family, have grown used to her presence, that sentiment is not shared by the guests, who have been repeatedly frightened by these creepy encounters. Edinburgh Castle is located in, yep you guessed it right, Edinburgh, Scotland, sitting atop a volcanic crag called Castle Rock looking over the entire city. It's often called the most besieged castle in Europe, as since its construction in the 12th century, the Edinburgh Castle has been a part of 23 attacks on Scotland. It has served as a royal residence, military stronghold, and prison, playing a central role in Scotland's long and tumultuous history. Today, the castle is famous for the variety of ghosts one can encounter here. Most notably the Piper ghost, a ghost of a piper sent into the castle's underground tunnels hundreds of years ago to explore where they lead. He never came back, and to this day, one can reportedly hear echoes of his bagpipe coming from the depths of the tunnels. Another one is the headless drummer ghost, believed to be a soldier executed for spying. Constructed sometime between 1253 and 1278, Hka Castle lies about 52 miles north of Prague, Czech Republic. It has had certain interest to the global paranormal investigator community. Some even call it the gateway to hell, due to the number of ghost sightings here in the past few decades, especially since it was occupied and used as a Nazi headquarters during the Second World War. Hka Castle has always had a reputation for being an evil place, and stories about that can still be found in the local folklore. The Nazi occupation further fueled rumors about its importance as a place of the occult, and some say that it was used for experiments throughout the war due to its significance in the Nazi ideology. The castle, now owned by the Simonek family, has been open to the public since 1999, and many visitors have reported experiencing poltergeist activity like shadowy figures and supernatural sounds beneath the chapel floor. Musham Castle in Unternberg, Austria stands atop the foundations of a Roman fortress, with documented history dating back to 1191. While it's known for its involvement in battles and wars throughout its history, it's famous for the frightening Zauberjackal witch trials held there between 1675 and 1690. The trials resulted in the execution of 139 people, a large number being males, following accusations of witchcraft. The castle's association with savage interrogations, tortures, and callous executions during this period has resulted in its current reputation as one of the most haunted places in the country. After the witch trials, Musham Castle went through another unfortunate episode during the late 18th century werewolf hysteria, when nearby locals murdered all of its inhabitants due to suspicions of them being werewolves. The castle was abandoned until Count Johann Nepomuk Wilczek acquired it in 1886, beginning its restoration that continues to this day. There have been many reports of paranormal activities in its premises, including disembodied voices and shadow-like figures that have been spotted roaming its grounds. Dragsholm Castle is built near Nexelo Bay on the island of Zealand in Denmark. Its history goes back to around 1200 when it was built by the Bishop of Roskilde. Over the centuries, it transformed from a palace to a fortified structure, later serving as a royal prison during the Reformation period. The castle survived many wars throughout its long history, including an attempt by the Swedes to destroy it. In 1694, it was sold to a nobleman who rebuilt it in the Baroque style. Now owned by the Botger family, Dragsholm Castle operates as a luxury hotel, tourist attraction, and Michelin star restaurant, and still maintains its Baroque architecture. Of course, guests to this luxurious holiday spot can expect to spend their nights with a few other inhabitants, namely the ghosts they'd encounter here. At least 4 spirits have been identified by paranormal investigators over the years, most of them from the tumultuous time of the Reformation. Hka Castle in Ireland is advertised as the most haunted castle in the world, on its own website, and perhaps for good reason. Built in the 12th or 15th century, depending on the source, the castle went through centuries of violence and gruesome events, like the 1532 murder of a priest during Mass in a section now known as the Bloody Chapel. The Red Lady is one of the many ghosts said to haunt the castle, allegedly still carrying the dagger that she used to kill herself after murdering her child. Additionally, hundreds of skeletons were found in a hidden dungeon discovered in 1922, further adding to the haunted nature of the castle. In the 1900s, Hka Castle was the site of another creepy event, when one Mildred Darby experimented with the occult and reportedly released a malevolent spirit that is still said to haunt the castle. Hka Castle was burned down by the IRA in 1922 and remained in ruins until 1991, when Sean and Anne Ryan purchased and restored it. Often called the most haunted house in Sweden, Borgitnäs Vicarage is located in the small village of Borgitnäs in the northeastern part of the country. Built in 1876, reports of paranormal activity started coming in sometime around 1927, when the resident vicar first experienced strange phenomena in the premises, like his laundry being inexplicably torn from the line. It could have been a prankster, but many locals believe that the house is haunted due to its unholy past, like the vicar's mother being buried in the garden rather than a churchyard. Subsequent vicars and residents have also reported encounters with a grey lady, including events like mysterious footsteps, doors opening and closing on their own, and ghostly music. The reputation of the house traveled far and wide, so much so that in the 1980s, a famous ghost priest, known as Tor Forslund, came to live there to rid it from the evil spirits. Despite his efforts, the place continued to be haunted, and he gave up and left within less than a year. Today, the vicarage operates as a bed and breakfast, attracting curious tourists from around the world looking to test their courage. Guests that successfully spend a night in the haunted house receive a certificate to commemorate their bravery. Also sometimes called the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, the Hoia Baciu forest in Romania is considered one of the most haunted places in Europe. Its most notable feature is the number of crooked, weirdly bent trees you can find here, which, according to the local folklore, could have only been done by supernatural, unholy beings. Not helping its reputation is a series of allegations of ghost sightings over the years. The forest gained fame when in the 1960s, a biologist named Alexandru Sift photographed a mysterious flying object in the sky above the trees. In a separate incident years later, a shepherd and his 200 sheep went into the forest and were never heard from again, presumably consumed by whatever made the trees that way. Another case speaks of a young girl who got lost in the forest, only to reappear 5 years later with no memory of where she had been. Many visitors have also reported getting rashes, headaches, seizures, and other medical issues after entering the forest. The Paris catacombs are a vast network of underground tunnels spanning almost the entire urban area of Paris. First dug during Roman times and later expanded into an intricate labyrinth, the catacombs were initially used for limestone excavation and artistic purposes. However, the dark part of their history began in the 18th century, when France went through its worst phase of the bubonic plague. As the city's cemeteries began to overflow, the administration decided to empty them and dump the decomposing bodies into the tunnels, giving birth to the catacombs. Over the years, bones and skulls from around 6 million people were arranged into a haunting yet creative display throughout these tunnels. Today, the catacombs are considered one of the most haunted places in France. Mysterious voices are said to call visitors to venture deeper into the tunnels, usually at midnight. The Tower of London has existed for over 900 years. In that time, it has earned the reputation of being the most haunted place in England, and probably for good reason. The tower has been used for many purposes over the years, including a royal fortress, palace, prison, mint, and even a zoo. Its history includes events like the murder of Henry VI during the Wars of the Roses, the mysterious disappearance of the princess in the tower, and the execution of Anne Boleyn. It has also served as a state prison, with figures like Elizabeth I and Lady Jane Grey held within its walls at different points in time. Today, the Tower of London is believed to be haunted by a variety of ghosts, each with its own dark story. Among them is the ghost of Thomas A. Becket, who allegedly destroyed part of the inner curtain wall. There's also Lady Arbella Stewart, a potential successor to Queen Elizabeth I, who is said to still roam around the Queen's house. Anne Boleyn's ghost occasionally makes appearances near her execution site, and then there's the White Lady, who could be usually found haunting the White Tower.